Okay, so bear with me a little bit. I've not recorded in a while because I got sick and lost my voice, and it is coming back. So, right, yes, we have Prison School 1 to 14, and also Shadow Student Council Vice President Gives Her All, and that's a one-shot. So most of these I have bought secondhand, as is usually the case. So a lot of them I got for like £6 each, £5 each even. The only ones I think are new is like 10, 14, and maybe 3 because they're in plastic wrap, but I think probably the rest of them were bought secondhand. I love the rainbow. It's meant to be like a proper degenerate series. I've only read the first one, and yeah, it was. I believe it's one that Ben also wants to read, Filthy Degenerate. Then we have Promise Neverland 1 to 20, and that is complete, as well as the Promise Neverland Beyond, which is a one-shot. Promise Neverland, I do enjoy Promise Neverland. I really enjoyed the twist, because it did actually catch me unawares, because I picked up Promise Neverland probably like as it came out. So I hadn't seen anything online or anything. It was also a series I'd started collecting before doing content, so things were a bit more of a surprise for me back then. I do think I drifted off a bit towards the end of the series, but actually I do enjoy how it ended. One of the few times that, as I've said before, I'm very picky with endings, and most of them aren't very good, but I did actually enjoy the ending of Promised Neverland, and there are a couple of chapters in this that are some further stories around the characters. That this is less, I'm not sure why it's called Beyond Promised Neverland, maybe because it's got a couple of epilogue chapters, but for the most part they're one-shot chapters by the same people. But I think there was a little dip like up here for me-ish, and then it picked up again. Also, Goldie Pond arc is an excellent arc, which they completely skip over in the anime, so a series which, even though I've not watched the anime, even I know how bad the anime was, and say probably should go for the manga if you're interested in the series. There is now a box set, which will make it a little easier to collect as well. Next we have Psychopaths 1. Psychopaths is that Inspector Shinya Kogami 1. Ben actually picked this up because he decided he was interested in reading it. He's played some of the games, I think. Sometimes he ships some of them over from Japan, because I don't think all of them make their way over this way. I was a bit annoyed because I hadn't realised he was interested in it, because I see them pop up in World of Books sometimes, and he paid retail and foils, and oh, my soul. I don't know if he's read it yet, though. It wasn't actually too long ago we picked it up. I think there's about 6 volumes in the series, but it's Dark Horse, so harder to find. I'll probably have to find him the rest secondhand. Good person I am. Then we have Puella Magi. So we have Puella Magi, Madoka Magica 1 and 2, Different Story 1, Magica Rico 3, Kazumi Magica 1, 3, 4, and 5, Oriko Magica 1, and then Extra Story, Oriko Magica Sadness Prayer 2, 3, and 4, Suzume Magica 1, and Tart Magica Legend of Jeanne d'Arc 3, 4, 5, and I don't know if that's a K or a H. I know I put it in my spreadsheet wrong, and then it made it a lot more harder to find information about it. But this one, Volume 3, there's so many different, so obviously I've not started reading it. I have the most random splattering. I'm not even sure what order I would need to read it in. I'm sure there's a list somewhere. Maybe it's like Alice in the Country of, where I just need to read like the Madoka ones, and then like the Oracle. I don't know. That's a complete guess. I have no idea. All of these pretty much have been sale or second hand. Yep, £3.50 on that one. A lot of these will have been second hand. They're usually a few pounds each. I understand it's very well enjoyed, liked, and I have just been really interested to try it. I've been collecting it slowly for about 3-4 years now, and I'll probably be continuing that same trend. Also, how come only this one is like actually rainbow? So sad. Then we have Pulse, which doesn't quite fit. Don't pay attention to that. Pulse 1, 2, and 4. 2 and 4 I bought on sale. They're still sealed, and 1 I got on World of Books quite recently, I want to say. This, I haven't started reading it, but I understand it's a GL manhwa and it's full colour. Yes. So I am actually quite looking forward to reading it, because do I have any other GL manhwa? I can't even think. I'm not sure I could even name any. Not that I'm very good at naming anything that's not got an English print. I'm not sure how many volumes are currently out, but I am missing volume 3. Then we have Puppy Love, which is a one-shot, I believe. I bought it second-hand from Tokyo Pop, and I have not yet read it, but it was another one where I was like, I like the spine. I'd seen the spine in store and I wanted to get more of it. Next we have Quality Assurance in Another World 1 to 4. 5 might actually just be out. I love Quality Assurance in Another World. Do I think it's good? No. Do I love it? Yes. So for my day job, I used to be a QA engineer, so Quality Assurance engineer. My role I think is technically now consultant, which is super vague, but I'm a consultant with a speciality in quality assurance. And there's just something really wonderful about reading a manga about what you do, like what you're trained in, what you do for a living, and also it being an isekai. It was absolutely wonderful to read. I love it, and there's so many things that happen in it that they do. It's like stuff that I do as a QA engineer, like the bug reports and the tracking and all that sort of stuff, and it was wonderful. I love it, and the fact that there's a story and he can use his and they've got beautiful. So the basic premise is a group of testers have gone into this game to test it, and they've gotten stuck. And one tester is staying true and actually trying to make his reports and do his testing stuff, and a lot of the others have gone off the grid and are using their debug powers to just sort of do what they want in this world, and it's great. It's absolutely wonderful. It is a series where I'm smitten by it, which I think makes it harder for me to objectively say whether or not I think it's actually good or bad, but I love it. That's all that matters. Next we have Kiku Sweeper 1 to 3 and Queen's Quality 1 to 17, and this is another one where I'm up to date because I did get some more over December. I have some mixed feelings about the series, so I want to just say I read, I think, this far into the series, and I did enjoy it. I did like it. I like the series. My main problem with it, and I'm not sure it's really a problem, is that a lot of people talked about this series being not like other shoujo. So I think I went in with expectations which ultimately weren't entirely met. I do think I basically went in expecting there not to be that much romance, because that's often what I associate with shoujo. Yes, I know, now I know. But ultimately, I think the mangaka actually says in a couple of one of the starting bits, I can't remember, like, her little note section, that first and foremost, this is a romance series. It is about love with a side action-y bit. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was kind of hoping it wouldn't, because a lot of shoujo I've read has been romance. There has been a lot I've read since then that isn't. I think I went in hoping, expecting for one thing, and it ended up was kind of the thing I was hoping it might not be. I know I irked a few people by saying that, and that wasn't my intention. My intention was more to say I did still enjoy it. There are elements that are definitely less typical shoujo. I think at the time I was trying to find series that were not shoujo doesn't necessarily equal romance, so I was trying to find and read more series that didn't fall into that, and I hope this would be one. And it does have a lot of stuff that isn't like romance and stuff, but when the mangaka was like, the first theme of this series is love, I was like, oh, okay. And I think that's why I hurt people. Plus, because I wanted to talk negatively about it a bit, I put it in my worst reads of 2022 video last year, but I put it in like a side section. It wasn't like in my top 10 worst reads. It was like, I have some negative things I want to say, so I'm going to talk about it here, but that's not because it was necessarily a worst read. And I think some people took that the wrong way and were like, oh, you just hate it because it's shoujo, and it's like, that's literally not what I'm saying. I did enjoy it, and I enjoyed reading it, and I enjoyed binging through a bunch of volumes at once, but I went in hoping to read a shoujo that wasn't really that romancy, and it turns out it is romancy. That was my only issue. Anyway, so it is about a sort of, there is a lot of action. There were like these darkness bugs, shadow realm sort of dealeroonie, demon dreamscape or whatever, and these people go in and clean that up to save people's mental states, basically. Learning how to clean, which I also do admire. I do like a good clean. If you're curious about like the prequel, the different names, and if you need to read the prequel to read the main series, yes you do. The only reason they have different names is I believe the mangaka changed magazines at this point, but otherwise, for all intents and purposes, the story is just continuous. There is like it just continues on from QQ Super 3 to Queen's Quality 1. So yes, you do unfortunately mostly need to read this to be able to continue on with Queen's Quality. It's also quite a long series. I think it's on like 20s now in Japan. Anywho, on we go. So we have Quintessential Quintuplets 1 to 14. That is complete. I love the rainbow we got on 14. It is about a guy who is tutoring quintuplets, and they all end up developing a crush on him and all want to date him. And then he ends up picking one at the end and they get married. That's probably most of the story. It is actually kind of nice. I do quite like that he actually does choose one of them, that he has actually got feelings for one of them and it just doesn't turn into a weird harem. But yes, I think this might now have box sets now. I think they've done like 2 box sets for the first and second half of the series. And we have Radiant 1 to 8 and then 10 to 16. I am missing 9 unfortunately. I can't find 9. I don't know where it's gone. As in, I can't find it to buy. I don't have it and I've lost it. I just haven't seen it around. Anywho, it is actually a French manga. I have called it manfra before. I don't know if that's actually a term. It was kind of interesting. The main character who's on the spine of the first volume gives me like Hiro Mashima main character vibes. It has been a few years since I read it now though. I don't remember much about the story. I'm so sorry. Also, look how the spines are not level. This is probably one of the worst Viz ones I've got. Usually it's Cadencia that's bad, but for this that's pretty bad. Then we have Ragnarok Crimson 1 to 7. That is behind. I think like 10 is out now or something. I haven't started reading it. It is starting to get pricey. It's Square Enix, so I don't want to pay those prices, especially when I'm not up to date with reading it. Ew. And we've Ran in the Grey World 1 to 6. Unfortunately, I don't have 7, otherwise that would be complete. This is a very, very pretty series. It is so nice to read. It is about a girl who, her mother is magical, I think, and she starts wearing these shoes of her mother's, which mean that even though she's a child, she can look like an older woman, and she can go out and do more adult things. It was kind of a neat read. It is super pretty to read. I haven't read past the first couple of volumes, but I do need to get my volume 7 because it was really pretty to read. And we got Raw Hero 1, 2, 5, and 6. Not complete. I'm missing 3 and 4, but I do think it is complete with 6 volumes. Yeah, I got it on sale. Yeah, I do think it is the final volume. So this is the same mangaka as Prison School. It is a plastic wrap series. It is a bit weird. I think it was like someone's trying to earn money to help look after their family and end up doing some very strange things to do that. But I haven't read far as I'm missing volumes. Next we have Rainbow Days 1 to 5, and I do have some more from Christmas. I really like that we're doing the rainbow across the spine. We've got these little squares that are going across in rainbow order. I wonder what's going to happen post like 7 or 8. What colour will it go back to red? Will we go backwards? I don't know. I can't wait to find out. So this is a high school romance which follows sort of a group of 4 guys. Those are the 4 guys and their different sort of experience ways with romance. They all sort of have real issues. Most of them are terrible people, really. But sometimes it's nice to read a romance from a guy's perspective. So I've enjoyed it for that reason. I think I'm like that far in. Or I've read 4 maybe. Ramen Wolf and Curry Tiger Volume 1. I have not yet read it. I assume it's mostly to do with food. I genuinely have no idea. Do you think I'm behind? There's at least a second one out. Ranma and a half. So we've got 1 to 6, 9 to 18, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27, 28. So I think I'm missing like half the volumes. It's quite a lot. I think it goes into the 30s. So there'll be like 15 plus, maybe. It's a bit trickier to find. I'm hoping for a reprint if there hasn't been one already, especially for the later Omnis. They're very tricky to find, especially the ones in the 30s. I haven't started reading it. I didn't actually get this one till that long ago. A lot of these have been second hand off World of Books or only a few pounds. This one I want to say I paid like £3 for maybe. I dread to think what the new RRP for these is going to be because these were £9.99. I get the feeling they're not going to be £9.99 considering these now RRP at £8.99. An Omni is going to be more than that. They're very pretty. I sort of went on a bit of a binge trying to get a whole bunch of Rumiko Takahashi series this year. So like Mao, and I've gotten some more Inuyasha, though some of that's probably going to be in my secondhand sack of death. And I think I got a number of these this year. I've started to lose track of what this year pickups were. Rainbow and Black 2. I haven't actually managed to pick up any more of this series this year. I think it's only complete at 3 as well, but I just haven't found 1 and 3 for a cheap enough price. Then we have Ragnarok 1 to 3. That is complete at 4 volumes. I haven't tracked down a volume 4. Very questionable, very loosely based on the video game Blue Dragon, which is one of my favourite video games of all time. Ragnarok is not very good in comparison, unfortunately. Then we have Rave Master 1, 2, 6 and 9. I would love to pick up more Rave Master considering how much I love his other series. It's the same person as Hidden Zero and Fairy Tail. Fortunately, Tokyo Pop out of print. A full set's going to cost hundreds. Also, it's like in the 30s. I don't even think they did singles of the last 3 volumes. I think they did an Omni. But I would love to one day, but I'm not paying crazy prices. And look at some of the damage on these, even though. So yeah, I just never mind. I have a few. I at least could read the first one. Never mind. Next we have ReMonster 1 to 6. I think 7 might be out. It might be downstairs. I'm not sure. Oh dear. I got a little confused with the release date, I think, of 7. It could be 6. I could be mixing up 6 and 7. Anywho, one of the latest volumes, it took like 2 years to come out and it kept getting delayed. It was in fact, I think, my last pre-order that I'd left on Amazon. I think I ended up moving it. But I hadn't used Amazon for orders since like, I think only in 2020. I was using Amazon for my manga pre-orders when we couldn't leave the house and before I found other sites to buy manga from. And I think it ultimately only came out a couple of months ago, which shows just how long it took. This series is a little bit like that time I got reincarnated as a slime, except instead of being a slime, he is a goblin, orc, ogre. I can't quite remember. What does it say? Goblin. He is a goblin, but it's a similar sort of thing where you can absorb other things' abilities. It is a little bit more adult-ish than Reincarnated as a Slime. I also wouldn't say it's as good. I think it's got different interesting parts to it though. It's definitely more adult-ish. Now to fix poor Ram, get in, there we go. Okay, so we have got ReZero. ReZero Chapter 1, 1 and 2, that's complete. ReZero Chapter 2, 1 to 5, that is complete. ReZero Chapter 3, 1 to 8 and 10, not complete. ReZero Chapter 4, 1, 4, 5, 6, not complete. And ReZero The Frozen Bond, just Volume 2. So they split it out in chapters kind of the same way Ascendance of a Bookworm does. I find it kind of interesting that they do, because the light novel doesn't split them out in chapters like this, whereas Ascendance of a Bookworm does. And it makes it a bigger page to put in my spreadsheet, because it means that ReZero has an entry for each chapter, so I can track, because there's so many volume 1s otherwise. I have actually, I think, picked up volume 11 of part 3. I need volume 9. I can't find volume 9, unfortunately. And then I'm just behind on getting some of the chapter 4 ones, because I got so annoyed at chapter 3. I didn't rush to get these ones. And Frozen Bond is a 3-volume prequel surrounding Emilia, I want to guess. But I haven't read it all because I'm missing volumes, unfortunately. This is such a quintessential isekai following, I think his name's Subaru? Is it like the car? Subaru? He's isekai'd, and no matter what happens, he can't die. Well, he can die, but when he dies, he's reset to a point, and he has to make sure that it goes right before he can continue his life, basically, and then kind of a new reset point happens, if that makes any sense. So each chapter basically is a new reset for him, and and then once he's managed to make sure it goes right, the like timeline goes correctly or whatever, he gets a new respawn point, and then we continue on. I really liked it. It was a series that Ben actually bought me for my birthday many years ago, going, "You're starting to get into Isekai. Here's an Isekai that you might enjoy." He'd watched some of the anime way back when. I have started getting more like acrylic stuff, hence why I've got these cute little Ram, and Amelia. If it'll focus, there we go. Look at her, isn't she cute? Fortunately, the stands are awful. I can't. Oh wait, that one's fine. This one? Oh, they kept falling out of the little bits at the bottom because they're a little shitty. Oh well. Anywho, let's move on. Next we have real account 2, 3, 5, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 23, 24. So these I picked up in the Traveling Man Warehouse sale for £3 each, including that being £3, which is crazy. It's another series where Quintessential started doing the like making the spines look like singles, but actually it's a big chunky omni. I am missing lots of the series, but because I could get so many, especially chunky omnis for £3, I was like, let's jump on it and see what we think. I found it interesting that we go from like 3-in-1s back to 2-in-1s. I assume it's to make the numbers work, because I think this might actually be the last one. But yeah, I am missing a lot, as you can see, especially between 5 and 15, and also volume 1. Reborn as a polar bear 1 to 6. It's probably up to date. It is an isekai, it's a weird isekai, it's plastic wrapped isekai. Guy is reborn as a polar bear. The legend of how I became the forest guardian. Yeah, for the most part it was actually okay. There is like one panel of him pre-being isekai'd, and it's just him falling off a mountain. And then he's just a polar bear. And for the most part it isn't too bad. Until he happens upon this group of like wolf girls and is like, I'll help protect you because they're being orchestrated just because they're wolf girls. He's like, I'll help protect you. For the most part, it's quite cute. They're trying to build a home, keep clean, find food, water, that sort of deal-a-rooney. And then there's some really weird questionable lines from some of the younger girls. Some of these younger girls where they say that they'd like him to look after them when they're older. It's like, oh no. No. Maybe it gets better? I don't know. Reborn as Space Mercenary 1 to 3. I'm very behind on this. I think like 6 is out potentially. It's actually one of a few isekai I want to say that I've read which is more sci-fi. Most of the time it's fantasy, and this is one of the few I've read which is sci-fi. It was okay. It slightly reminded me a little bit of, oh, what's that game Ben made me play? Mass Effect? Or at least the town that he goes to reminds me a bit of Mass Effect. But I only played like 3 hours of Mass Effect, so Mass Effect fans do not come for me because of that. I want to read more. Ben loves this series a lot. Like, he'd been trying to track down volume 4 of the light novel for a long time and couldn't. And then I got it for him for Christmas, and he also has volume 6 and volume 5, so he can read a whole bunch more. A guy is isekai'd, he wakes up and he's on a spaceship, and he's like, what is happening? And then finds his way to a spaceport and ends up starting to build a crew-ish and trying to do space mercenary things for the most part. But I don't have many volumes, not much more has happened really. Reborn as a vending machine, I now wander the dungeon. 1 volume up to date. This is such a dumb sounding isekai, and what makes it even better is it's actually kind of good. It is actually a fun read. The light novel, there is also a light novel, and it has 3 volumes. There is an anime that's come out. A guy is a big vending machine enthusiast and is isekai'd as a vending machine, able to change what he can stock. He can use money that he's acquired for goods to change out what he stocks, make hot water available, all sorts of stuff. Unfortunately, he is a vending machine. He can't move. He happens to accidentally this girl runs into the vending machine, and she ends up sort of carrying him around because she's super strong. And sounds dumb. It is actually genuinely quite good. If you decide to not try the manga, I would recommend the anime. I watched some of it. It's actually pretty good as well. Would recommend. Record of Ragnarok 1 to 8. I think that's up to date. I really like the series. It's excellent, just hitting each other, and it's silly, wonderful fights between two random people of mythology and throughout history. I was kind of questioning how the series is on like 17, 18 volumes or whatever in Japan when we're kind of starting to blitz through the fights a little. But by the end of volume 8, I do think it's starting to explain a little bit how the story might drag out a bit. I say drag out, I'm more than happy with that because it's great. It is very silly, doesn't always make sense, but that's kind of the point and that's why it makes it fun. I definitely would recommend. Then we have Reborn to Master the Blade, the Hero King to Extraordinary Squire 1, given to me by Empress. I think it might be an isekai, but we haven't... It's more tricky when they're isekai'd from one fantasy world to another fantasy world. It might just be he's been reborn later in the timeline, later on, hundreds of years later or something. And it is about a guy who was a hero and he was king, and it's this guy here, the old guy, and he felt like he didn't get a chance to really master swordsmanship and a whole bunch of other stuff because he was too busy being hero and king, and he has to be reborn so he can do all these things basically, and he's reborn as a cute young girl, which weirdly happens a few times in isekais where old men are isekai'd as cute young girls. I'm not sure I quite get the mentality behind that. I also don't think I want anyone to explain it to me, please. I think it was okay. It was fine. The whole reborn thing just felt almost unnecessary to a point. Like, it didn't really do too much. Except he already has, like, the memories, I suppose. I don't know. Record of Grand Quest War 1 to 5 and 7. Complete 7, but I am missing 6. Don't really see anyone talk about it, so I don't know anything about it. Some of these are plastic wrapped, which is slightly concerning. Also, it's Viz. Record of Lodoss War 1 to 3. That is complete from Udon Entertainment. Udon Entertainment actually sent these to me. I haven't yet had a chance to read them. Ben was very excited to see these because I think they're based on a game or something that he knows of. I really need to get around to these though, as well as with a few other Udon series that they sent me. Then we have the Reformation of the World as overseen by a realist Demon King. Volume 1. I might have another one now. So this was kind of neat. This guy's been isekai'd into a world, and in this world there are a whole number of Demon Kings, and they're all kind of fighting each other for land and power. He being the newest one, the most recent reborn, he is the weakest. And it's trying to like build up power basically. And yeah, he's very realist, and it's stuff like he's like, well, when I played games like this on Earth, there was always a weapon in the Demon King's castle that could be used to kill the Demon King. And he's like, is there one of those? And she's like, yes, there is. And he's like, good, destroy it. Why would I keep that around? And she's like, what an excellent idea, Master. Yeah, it's kind of neat. It's not amazing, but I quite happily enjoyed it, so I look forward to more. Reincarnated as a Dragon Hatchling 1 to 3. I'm not sure if 4 is out. I did vaguely enjoy it. It's a little, in terms of like mechanics, isekai mechanics is quite similar to So I'm a Spider, So What? In that he starts out as a Dragon Hatchling, and by earning XP / meeting certain criteria, he is able to follow a a tree, an evolution tree, and you can like choose which way he goes and stuff. And it's kind of neat, and it's quite stat heavy, which again is something I really like. I don't think it's as good as Some Spider, but if you do like that sort of isekai, I think it's an isekai. Yeah, Reincarnated, yeah. I would recommend that, but also don't expect it to necessarily be as good, but it's similar. Reborn as a Barrier Master 1 and 2, I am fairly sure I'm behind on this. Volume 2 I got on sale, I want to say, somewhere. It's quite unremarkable to the point that I don't really remember much, and I've not rushed to pick up more. He's reincarnated, probably as a Barrier Master, and he practices his barriers. Yeah. Not an isekai I'd probably recommend. Reign of the Seven Spellblades 1 to 3 and 5, again probably behind on this. I did quite enjoy it, and the anime aired this year and we watched volume 1, and that was quite an enjoyable watch as well. It is about a group, it's sort of in a fantasy world, set at a fantasy school, sort of following a group of kids with different abilities, and did quite enjoy it. I don't think the manga releases that often. There is also a light novel, but as I said, anime. Reincarnated as a Sword 1-9 and Reincarnated as a Sword Another Wish 1, which is a spin-off. And so I think the main series, I managed to get like all these volumes. I think I got on sale or second hand at some point in the year, and then I'm very behind on the spin-off because I didn't know at what point I needed to get to in the main series to be able to read the spin-off, which is an ongoing pet peeve of mine, so I've just not read it. Is an isekai. A guy's been isekai'd as a sword, and he gets picked up by this cat girl, and he's very powerful, but to try and hide that it's the sword that's powerful, they try and pretend that it's the girl, basically. Kind of interesting, neat. I did enjoy it. It's a longer running isekai for sure, because I think 10 at least might be out now, and I'm behind. But I mostly want to pick it up secondhand or at least half price at this point. Reincarnated Witch Spells Doom 1 and 2. I did enjoy it. I read it during Witchtober this year. It's about a girl who is a shut-in, and the one day she actually goes to school, she gets hit by a truck and gets isekai'd. And then when she gets isekai'd into this world, she also sort of becomes a shut-in, unfortunately, in this like hut in the woods. Unfortunately, her mother passes away, and so she's sort of just living on her own. Until one day, she ends up meeting this guy, and he kind of convinces her to come to town with him and all his entourage, basically. And she leaves the little hut and starts to live a life outside of the forest. There are some wonderfully dramatic moments. I really enjoyed those. I think I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's okay, though. But that's fine still. And that is up to date. There is only 2 out at the moment, I believe. Then we have Remarried Empress 1-4. I did get 5 for Christmas, and I have read that as well. I love Remarried Empress. I think it's an excellent manhwa. It was one of the first manhwa I read from Ise Press, but so much of Ise Press stuff is just so good. So good. At first I was really unsure. I thought the cover of this, I was like, I'm not sure if I like the cover of this, and now I'm looking at the cover and I'm like, she looks amazing. So we start the series off with her in a courtroom, and her husband, the Emperor, is asking for a divorce. And then we kind of dive into the series, and it's sort of like a year prior or something. I don't know. I can't remember how back in time we go to see the setup for how we ended up in this situation. It's like one of those record scratches. You're probably wondering how I got here. And then we go back and we see the setup with her and her husband's taken on a mistress, and the mistress is a bit pushy and doesn't know her place, and she is not treated well. She is not treated good enough. Oh. And then some shit really goes down in Volume 5, and I can't wait for Volume 6, but unfortunately I need to wait a couple more months for that to come out. Ise Press, please. Okay, then we have Rent a Girlfriend 1-18 and Rent a Really Shy Girlfriend 1-3. Now, I had stopped picking this up because it was just so boring. Nothing happens. It's about a guy who can't get a girlfriend, so he starts renting one. He actually ends up falling in love with one of them, and then there are a few other girls who are also rental girlfriends, and they all end up falling in love with him. But it's just really awkward, and no. So I had stopped picking it up about here-ish, and then a whole bunch popped up on like secondhand for only like £4 or £5 each, and I was like, okay, might as well get myself up to date. And then realised that actually 20 or something had just come out in English, and I'm still not up to date. I'm like, well, that's, oh my god. It is on 30 plus volumes in Japan, and nothing happens. There's no progression. I don't understand. It's weird. My only like positive, actually no, I have 2 positives about the series. Number 1 is I think the outfits that the girls are drawn in, the outfits the girls are wearing are amazing and gorgeous to look at. They look so nice, they're so well drawn. That is my main positive. And then the second positive is the spin-off. Rent a Really Shy Girlfriend is focused on one of the girls called, what's her name? Sumi. Now, for the most part, this series actually reminds me a whole lot of like Komi Can't Communicate, and that she is very painfully shy, and is just trying to improve herself. And I really loved reading this. The only parts of this I hated was when they did a one chapter where they brought the guy from the main series, and it's like, nah, he can kindly screw off. I don't care for him in the slightest. When it's just her trying to do better, I loved it. I actually really, really liked it. But I could honestly happily rip out the pages where he's in them, because I dislike them that much. It ruined it that much for me. Right, so Rent a Really Shy Girlfriend is up to date, I want to say, but I genuinely haven't looked in a while. Whereas Rent a Girlfriend is just spitting a volume out every few months, and I cannot believe it's still going. I feel like one of its draws that it does so well is there's a lot of merch around the characters, and I think they probably sell well. At least the girls are in college / university, whatever you call it, so they're all of age, I guess. Right, after that really rant, we next have Revenge Mrs. Wrong, which is a new steamship title from this year, and I hated it, so another rant incoming. This I think probably be my least favourite steamship of the whole lot. It was so weird and creepy. It is about it is about a set of twins, one of which is very shy and not very outgoing, and the other one is very outgoing. So the outgoing one has a fiance, but she also has boyfriends who we don't think fiance knows about. I don't think they've actually clarified. Anywho, sister with darker hair, who is the outgoing one, is actually going on holiday with a boyfriend or something and needs to go to some wedding meeting. So she asks her twin to fill in for her and pretend to be her with a fiance. Yep. And then what happens is fiance's like, well, let's do some bedroom things, and she apparently is too awkward to say no, so just goes along with it. And ultimately she ends up starting to fall in love with fiance and is a lot more willing to do some of the wedding things now with him because she can spend time with him and sleep with him. She figures out that actually they're now sort of sleeping together, but he still thinks she's her. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of really weird mind play between the two of them, to the point as well where she sends one of her boyfriends after her, and yeah, he does things to her that she doesn't want him to. It was a really unpleasant read. I wouldn't recommend this one. Has definitely been my least favourite of the whole steamship line, unfortunately. It felt like such a random... I don't understand half the steamship choices. So yeah, that was probably one of my, not even just worst steamship, probably one of my worst reads of the year. Did not like that. Anywho, next we have Requiem the Rose King. We have got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Actually, do you know what? I think I have a clear run. I think I might just now be missing that illustrious Volume 3 that everyone seems to be missing. So having a reprint of that would be most excellent. And then I can actually read the damn series, especially since it's set, where I live, in Yorkshire. I know Himika loves the series, and I really, really do want to read it. Just need to find Volume 3. A Returner's Magic should be special 1 and 2. I think that might actually be up to date. I read Volume 1 quite recently. I did enjoy it. It is not an isekai, it's sort of just a fantasy-ish, another sort of solo leveling dungeons and abilities have sort of appeared, I think. And it starts off with a guy and a group, and they've just defeated a big boss, and they're like, finally, it's done. And then something terrible goes wrong, and it looks like the whole world might end or something like that. And for some reason, this guy goes back in time to way back before any of this started. And he has all this knowledge, he has all his abilities, and it's him now trying to prevent this bad, terrible thing happening, but he also needs to first figure out what the bad, terrible thing is. Is a manhwa, it's in full colour. Did enjoy and I would recommend. It's a shame there's only 2 out. Restaurant to Another World 1 to 4, that is complete. I'm not sure how long the light novel is, but I think there's at least 4 light novel volumes, which suggests there might be more content in that. It's quite a cute isekai where a Japanese restaurant door randomly pops up in other worlds every now and again. People come in and he cooks for them. It's very, very wholesome, very cute. think it might be a bit trickier to pick up nowadays, unfortunately, but if you're able, I would recommend. There is an anime as well. Rer Wave, which is a one-shot. I believe it's based on a movie. I think it's the movie came first. I wasn't that bothered. I don't think it worked well in a manga form, unfortunately. As you can see, it's very thin, considering it's based on a movie. And I think just some of the really pretty moments, some of the emotional moments just didn't come through as well in the manga for me. I'm only saying this because I haven't watched the movie, so I can't say for sure. But considering what I've seen other people say about the movie, I feel like I just didn't get some of the things they did by reading it. So I couldn't recommend the manga, but apparently the anime is good. Rise of the Outlaw Tamer and his S-rank Catgirl, 1 volume. Well, no. I have 1 volume. I'm not up to date. It's plastic wrapped. I picked it up because it's plastic wrapped. I haven't yet read it. Rising of Shield Hero 1-5 and 6-21, and Reprise of Spear Hero 1-5 and 7. I hadn't realised I was missing 6. I think this is up to date. I like Rising of Shield Hero. I really loved up to volume 8, where we sort of had a wrap on the first arc. And I think I kind of liked the next arc after that. And personally, I feel like I've dipped a little bit. Rising of Shield Hero, I feel like you need to read a bunch together, otherwise you start losing track. And I've lost track, unfortunately, so I've held off reading, I think, the last couple I've had until I can. I also can't believe we're in the 20s. They're so thin. A guy is isekai'd into a world, and there are 4 heroes. Sword hero, bow, spear, and shield. And for some reason, the shield hero is orchestrated and treated like a terrible person, even though he's done nothing. There is so many questionable things about the series. What I find quite interesting is, so Ben's read some of the light novel, we both watched the anime and I've read the manga. There is a lot of differences between which characters say certain lines to try and paint the characters differently. For example, in the anime, they try to paint the main guy as a lot nicer than he is in the manga. So this guy, he is painted a lot more nicely in the anime than he is in the manga. And in the light novel, I believe it's like a level ahead worse, where I don't blame him. He's been randomly isekai'd, and for some reason, everyone hates him and wants to kill him, and he's not done anything. So he's a bit bitter. I think I like it. I'm starting to question the further in we go, though. The light novel is in the 20s as well, I think, so we've got a lot of stories still to cover if it follows the whole thing. And then we have Reprise of Spear Hero, which is sort of a spin-off series where the Spear Hero? The blonde guy? He is sent back in time to just when they first got isekai'd, and he's trying to put things right, make things follow the same timeline. Not entirely clear. There were some really creepy moments with him in the first volume, which slightly put me off. Roll over and die. I will fight for an ordinary life with my love and curse sword 1 and 2. I think that's up to date. It was okay. Volume 1 with so much lore and setup, I did actually slightly lose interest. And I haven't read Volume 2 even though I've had it for years, unfortunately. We'll start from the top. We have Restorer's Home Volume 1, which I haven't read yet. It's by Blaze Manga, which is interesting. Especially that they're doing some chunkier ones. Most of the ones I have from them are quite thin, but I haven't read it. It's meant to be quite cute. Robotics Notes 1 and 2. This was given to me by Udon Entertainment. I haven't read it yet. Ow. Apparently it's a sort of spin-off, different universe timeline in Steins Gate, which makes me feel like I need to read my Steins Gate then before I read that. And it's like, that's a lot of chunky volumes. We'll get to those in a couple of shelves, but you'll see them as well. Rooster Fighter 1-4. I love Rooster Fighter a lot. It's One Punch Man, but he's a chicken. It's excellent. It's silly. It's dramatic. But actually, Volume 3 made me cry because it was so lovely. I did actually cry. Would recommend. I love it. Then we have Romantic Killer 1-4, and that is complete. I completely ranted and shat on Romantic Killer, and I have done multiple times. I have not finished reading it. I've read 1 and 2, I've not read 3 and 4 because it's complete and I hated on it so much. I need to complete it to almost justify or see if everything I said is okay. I just hate how I feel like it's turned a woman's role is to reproduce, find a man, have kids and spit them out. because this girl, she doesn't really care about any of that. She just wants to eat chocolate, play video games, and look after a cat. And due to a declining Japanese population, it's been decided that no, we need more children. We need the women to breed. So this like random fairy comes up with ways to take all of those away from her. She can't have the cat because it's distracting. Video games distracting, and chocolate will make her spotty, fat, and unattractive. And it's like, Jesus Christ, this is not the way to tackle that. And a lot of people I know said to me, oh, the anime, it doesn't come across that strongly. It's meant to be comedy, it's meant to be dramatic. It's like, okay, fine. But I just did not feel that way when I read it. It felt very gross. It felt very gross. And then continuously trying to, like, force her into these situations with... force her into these situations. Anyway, I've done longer rants, and I don't want to do any more ranting until I finish the series, so I'm gonna leave it at that. Next we have Rosario Vampire 1-10 and Season 2 1-14. That is complete. Most of this has been bought second hand. In hindsight, getting the box set would have been nice, but I couldn't find them. Also, some of these I got for like £2-3, so I'm not too upset. There are a few library copies in there, as you can see. I wonder why Volume 5 is blue. Does anyone know why it's blue? Or have I got a really weird copy? Then we have Rose Guns Days Season 1, 1 and 4, Season 2, 2 and 3, and Season 3, 2 and 3. Now, having done some reading, actually, in fact, just yesterday, I believe Season 1 is complete at 4, and Season 2 and 3 have 3 volumes each. So, there is... Are you doing this on purpose? Are you doing this on purpose? Don't lick my toes! For God's sake, cat. So the volume's back there. I managed to get all of them in Thin Planet Leads on sale, as you can see, £2.50 each. So I decided to just go for it. When it's that cheap, I will literally pick up anything and everything. Also, nice different colours, I guess. Final series on the shelves behind Yuna's bum is Rosen Blood 1-5. That is complete. We had to wait a year between volumes 4 and 5 for Rosen Blood 5 to come out, just to see how the series ended. So that is complete at 5 volumes. I do not think Rosen Blood is a very good series. I think it's a confusing plot that jumps all over the place and doesn't really know what it's doing. It's very pretty. It is a very pretty series. But I think following it is confusing, and some of the lines don't make sense. And I've had people say to me, "Oh, maybe you just didn't follow it. It like some people just don't follow these sort of things." And it's like, excuse me, I read a lot. A lot. But when a volume, I have to genuinely read each line multiple times to try and understand what it's saying to me. I think the issue is probably going to be more with the series over me. Maybe it's me, but I also don't think I'm the only one that had an issue with it. It just was very, very odd, and the ending was weird. Really weird. So I know I complained about endings, but I don't even know if it's like, oh, the ending was bad, or just I thought the whole series was bad. I probably wouldn't recommend it. It is a very pretty series. Maybe if the mangaka had a different writer, I would be more interested. Thank you so much for watching part 12 of the manga collection tour. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in part 13.